So today we are talking about the Edmonton Oilers, the team who made the Stanley Cup Finals, made an impossible, or what was thought to be impossible, comeback against the Florida Panthers, ended up losing that Game 7 deciding game, and now it's about, well, what's next for this Oilers team? Now, you may think that this team may regress next season and might not be the team that they were this past year, might not make it to the finals again. History in recent years has told us that, no, they will be going back to hopefully another Stanley Cup final soon. Maybe not next season, but soon. And I'm here to ask the question, can the Oilers make the Stanley Cup finals yet again? Now, the Oilers are a team that I realize they're more popular on this channel when I talk about them. And the biggest thing with that is that people just love to discredit the things that the Oilers have done in the 23-24 season, 22-23. You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of the Oilers fan base or some of the Oilers fans, if it's because of McDavid and Draisaitl, and before this, they couldn't seem to build a team around them. I think that's changed. I think that narrative has changed amongst, can they build a team around them? Yes, they absolutely can. And I think that Jeff Jackson, and I'm not going to really give Stan Bowman credit, but I would say Jeff Jackson has done a pretty good job this offseason of putting together and bringing back some of the pieces from this Oilers Stanley Cup final team. So again, as I said, they lost in the Stanley Cup finals to the Florida Panthers in 7 games. I could go on and on about that, but, obviously it was something that, they came back from down 3-0. That's something we have not seen in the modern era in Stanley Cup finals. So it is something that we were blessed to witness. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm absolutely blessed to have seen something like that happen, even though Florida did win the Stanley Cup in the end. It was an incredible Stanley Cup final. It was by far the best I've seen in my lifetime. But regardless, that's the past. Now you got to focus on this team getting better in the 24-25 season, and I think this team can definitely do that. So let's look at what they did this offseason. I want to start off with the trade they made. And it was a trade they made, I think, about a week after free agency ended. It was between the Buffalo Sabres. They sent Ryan McLeod and Tucker Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for prospect Matt Savoy. Now, this looks like an absolutely incredible deal for the Edmonton Oilers. They absolutely hit it out of the park in this deal. They get a prospect who's arguably a top 30, maybe even by some a top 20 prospect in the NHL in Savoy. In exchange, Buffalo gets a fourth-line center in Ryan McLeod and a depth forward in Tucker Tullio. So it looks perfect for the Edmonton Oilers. They get a great prospect in Savoy, who, even though I don't have him in the projected lineup here coming up in this video, he could very well make this team. He could very well make this team out of training camp. He goes back home to where he lives. His brother was with the team, but I think he got cut. So again, just like it's a terrific move. Slam dunk from Jeff Jackson in the trade market there. Now, the signings they made, I would say all of them are almost perfect. Like perfect value, perfect year. They all were great deals. So first off, they re-signed Adam Henrique to a 2-year, $3 million contract. Henrique was a guy who was in and out of the playoffs. I think the first round and the second round he was mostly not playing for. But from then on, he looked like a great fourth, third-line grit player. Like, he was one of the guys that I really enjoyed watching in that final. And I think it's great to bring him back. They re-signed Connor Brown to a 1-year, $1 million deal. I like this deal a lot as well. I think Connor can definitely fit well in the penalty kill and could get you a couple of goals here and there. Like it was Janmark who scored in Game 7. But regardless, Brown just looked great in the playoffs. He was like a fourth line guy. Yes, played in the penalty kill, but was still great for the Oilers standards. They re-signed Corey Perry to a 1-year, $1.4 million deal. This is the one deal where I'm a little bit like, really on it, because I feel like Corey Perry, he's a curse. Ever since I started this YouTube channel, Perry's been in, I think, 4 of the 5 finals I've covered. and he's lost every single one of them. So first off, that's not great. But as well as that too, he found himself mostly outside of the lineup. Like, he was like a 13th forward in a lot of these scenarios. Now, he did play in the playoffs a little bit, but still, he mostly found himself outside of the lineup. So paying him over $1 million seems a little bit interesting, but regardless, that is one of the moves that I did question. They also re-signed Matthias Janmark to a 3-year, $4.35 million deal. Janmark, one of my favorite players to watch in this past year's playoffs, provided great depth, great secondary scoring. If I'm correct, he scored in Game 7. So he was the only goal the Oilers had in Game 7. So it made it perfect for the Oilers with Janmark. And I think locking him up to a 3-year deal, maybe it's a little bit of an overpay money-wise, but I still think it's a good contract overall. Then you move into the guys they brought in. And they didn't bring in anyone that was huge, like massive. Like they didn't bring in any of the top guys, like let's say, Brandon Montour, Stevenson. They didn't bring in any of those guys. They brought in mainly just guys who will fit on their, I guess, at best, a second-line guy. So they signed Carrick, I think it's Trevor Carrick, to a 1-year, I think it's Sam Carrick, to a 1-year, $775K deal. I think Carrick will fit in well as a depth player. He's not going to make the lineup a lot, but he will fit in when a guy gets hurt. They signed Jeff Skinner to a 1-year, $3 million deal. And this is what I love. I love this deal. I think that Skinner, he got overpaid in Buffalo. Absolutely. There's no question. It's why they bought him out. But bringing him in on a 1-year, $3 million deal, you put him with McDavid or Draisaitl, that guy could put up a 40-goal season. I'm not ruling it out. He could absolutely put up a 40-goal season in the NHL, and I think that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect, getting him on a $3 million deal. It's kind of like the Matt Duchene contract that was obviously signed by the Dallas Stars in the 2023 offseason. So it looks like that kind of deal, and I think it could work out really well. They also signed Josh Brown to a 3-year, $1 million deal. He's going to be the 7th defenseman. It's still a little bit weird they're paying him $1 million, but again, he's one of the guys that I think, he's going to fit in as defensive depth. He's going to be an AHL player. I don't think that it's that big of a deal there for the Oilers. They signed Troy Stecher to a 2-year, $787K deal. He's another solid depth defenseman. I think that he's been on this team. He was on this team through the playoffs. Didn't play a ton, but again, still a guy that I think fits in well as a 7th or 8th defenseman for sure. And then the other signing, they signed Victor Arvidsson to a 2-year, $4 million contract. This contract also looks perfect too. You can put Arvidsson on that line with Draisaitl and Skinner, or McDavid and Skinner, I guess, or however they want to work the lines. I'm not saying that it'll go that way. What do I know? I'm not Chris Knobloch. But regardless, I think Arvidsson fits in great on that second-line winger. I think he could put you up a good 40, 45, maybe like he could do better with Draisaitl on the line there with him. So I think that those moves, the Skinner and Arvidsson deals, knock this offseason out of the park, and the Savoy deal makes it look perfect too there for the Oilers as well. They also drafted Sam O'Reilly, who they traded their first-round pick from next year with the Flyers for that. So O'Reilly, again, I don't know a lot about him. He was a guy that I didn't study too much. I looked at him as a late second-round pick or a mid-second-round pick. So him going 32nd overall shows the Oilers are a little bit higher on him than maybe some of the other people are. But we'll see how he pans out with the Oilers in the future. Obviously, he won't be there for a while. But regardless, he's still there. So your lineup, your projected lineup per the daily face-off. Again, I didn't make these lines. These lines could go however way you would think they would go. But the top 6 is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, Jeff Skinner, Leon Draisaitl, and Victor Arvidsson is your top 6. So first off, great first line, Nuge, McDavid, Hyman. Again, it is very possible they move Nuge over to center at points. Again, that's been something that has happened a lot over the last couple of seasons, but obviously this lineup has Nuge playing with McDavid and Hyman. So again, that's a great first line. Hyman netted 60 goals. McDavid put up like 140 points. So obviously that puts you in a great spot there when you look at your first line. Again, as I said, second line is Skinner, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. That could get you a solid 40-goal season from Skinner, maybe even 45. And Draisaitl could put up a great season as well. So again, both those signings from Arvidsson and Skinner could be spectacular deals for the Oilers in that remark. Your bottom six: Dylan Holloway, Adam Henrique, Corey Perry, Matthias Janmark, Derek Ryan, and Connor Brown. So I think your depth is perfect. Again, that fourth line of Janmark, Ryan, Brown looked great in the playoffs. Holloway had some moments too. Corey Perry, again, might not be that third line guy. You could put Savoy in there as well. And again, this is barring nobody surprises in training camp and makes the team out of camp. But regardless, I still think that's a great forward core. It's a forward core that we know can work. The way they played in the playoffs makes things perfect. I think that's awesome overall. Your defense is the same as it was, honestly. Not a lot of changes. You got Ekholm and Bouchard as your first pairing. You got Darnell Nurse and Philip Broberg as your second pairing. And then you got Brett Kulak and Cody Ceci as your third pairing. So again, there are some concerns on the blue line, as there have been in previous years. You're not moving that Darnell Nurse contract. You really can't buy it out. So you have no choice but to have Nurse on your defense and see how he does, honestly. Ekholm and Bouchard, though, will work out perfectly. Bouchard had a great offensive season. I think if he keeps that up, he will be, regarded as one of the better defensemen in the NHL. He already is, to be honest. But Ekholm doing a great job there as well. Again, I like the defense. I think that Nurse and Ceci do kind of make you a little bit hesitant at points because they were touch and go in the playoffs, Nurse being the one that was mostly go. But regardless, Broberg as well did request a trade, but I thought he looked good in the finals and in the playoffs at points. So hopefully, even though he did request a trade, he can keep a spot in that Oilers defense. And if they do end up trading him, we'll see. But again, Holloway and Broberg are two guys I believe they do have to sign before the season starts. So they are restricted free agents. So I guess Bowman does have some things he needs to do in that remark. Your goaltending's the same as it was. You got Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. Well, Skinner is on the team. So again, I know there's some criticism there behind Stuart Skinner. He's been really touch and go. He was in the playoffs. I think that Skinner can be your starting goalie. People won't like that, but I really do think that Skinner has the potential to be a great goaltender. It's just a matter of him getting developed, getting adjusted to the NHL, and, overcoming those hurdles that he's faced in previous seasons. Again, the biggest issue with the Oilers was the goaltending. So, again, it makes you really excited for this Oilers team. I think they can definitely go to another final. I think they can make a final as soon as next season, and they can win a cup, potentially. I think they proved that they can do that. Now, do I think that, obviously they can do it more times in the coming seasons? I'm not saying they will make it next season. I think they can. I'm not saying they will. But I think this team is poised for a Stanley Cup or a Stanley Cup final within the next 5 seasons. I am very excited to tune into this Oilers team. They have honestly become one of my favorite teams in the last couple of seasons. Watching them develop and grow, and especially this run to the finals, has made me love this team even more. So, again, I know the Bowman thing is something that people do look at and say that, it's Stan Bowman. Yeah, I understand that, but I have my doubts there, 100%. But I do think that right now, with the team that Jeff Jackson built, not Bowman, that Jeff Jackson built, as long as Bowman can pretty much just kind of kick his feet up and honestly make some of the moves, like sign Holloway, sign Broberg, do some minor things amongst the team, and obviously trade deadline moves, I think this team can be in a perfect spot. But obviously, Bowman does have some things to do with the Draisaitl extension, etc. But regardless, I think that Jackson has put this team together very well, that Bowman really doesn't have to do much. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Answer the question down below. Do you guys think the Oilers will make it to another Stanley Cup final? I think they for sure can. Again, I love talking about the Oilers. They've become one of my favorite teams in recent years. I am very excited to watch this team within the next couple of seasons. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. I will be doing a few more of these. Again, the season previews kick up in like 2 weeks, so I don't really need to do much more of these. I do want to do one for Florida, and I do want to do one for like the LA Kings for some reason. Was a team that I looked at and said, hey, why not do one for them? But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.